Oh, I need a haircut. That's a great photo.
Hello, hello, everyone. I'm Maya from NextWork, and today we have Krishna, who is on the limelight. Krishna is someone who has really helped shape NextWork to where it is today. He's joined at a very early stage. He is the founding engineer at NextWork, and he's moved from places like Raygun to Canva, now to NextWork, and it's so amazing to have you here, Krishna.
Damn, it's great to be here. That's an incredible introduction. Hello, Maya. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here.
Amazing. Thank you all for joining the Humans of NextWork. Tell us where you're joining from. Put it in the chat. If you've got any questions, great time to ask. Let's start from the beginning, shall we, Krishna? Tell me a little bit about what got you interested in engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for as long as I can remember, I'm 28 now, so as long as I can remember, when I was a little kid, I just loved like building things. You know, Lego or like the cheap $2 shop knockoff Lego that you used to get. I'd love playing with that, building stuff with like wood, hammers, nails, all that kind of stuff. That was always super, super interesting to me growing up. And then one day, my parents brought home a computer.
Mm.
And then, as you do when you're like 12, 10, oh, probably earlier, 8 years old or something like that, you click around, play all the games. I remember there used to be this like pinball game, which is cool. And then slowly I just started, looking more into computers, and then I found coding. I thought that was cool. And then it sort of kind of just my love for building stuff sort of evolved. It went from building things physically to building
Mm.
things digitally. I found that I could build things much quicker digitally than I could, in the physical world. So I thought, hey,
Yeah.
this is pretty cool. And I took to that really well. And then, yeah, that's kind of what got me into engineering. I always had this very curious uh, builder mentality. I love to learn how things worked. I
Mm.
remember one day my mum brought me a remote control car. It was like probably like this big. You could drive it around. I thought it was really, really cool. And the first thing I did was I took it apart. And my mum got really, really
No
mad.
way.
Yeah, yeah. I took the whole thing apart. Like I took the case off. I unscrewed everything just to figure out how it worked because I just loved figuring things out. And then yeah, I guess that's kind of led me to where I am now. Building product, building Nextwork.
That's amazing. That's really cool. It's so unusual to have that kind of clarity so early on that you wanted to build things, you want to know how things work, and to take a toy and break it apart.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Mum
don't
wasn't
know
happy. That's for
how
sure.
many people do that. Was your mom okay with that? Like,
Absolutely
did you
not.
put it back
Absolutely
together?
not. She was. Well, I didn't know how. I took it apart. I was like, this is great. And then yeah, putting it back together again was the hard part. That's my dad had to do that. But yeah, mum
Oh,
was not
okay.
happy.
That's cool. That's cool. And I also appreciate, like, I was going to ask, how did you know that you wanted to do computers, computer science engineering, as opposed to mechanical or something more hardware related? But yeah, the answer about
Yeah,
like
I
the
like.
quick.
Yeah, definitely the speed at
Mm,
which I could build something. It's like initially I got really into woodwork and building things like clocks and cabinets at school and this kind of thing. It's like saws, hammers, nails. But that takes a long time. And
yeah,
then when I got into computers and that that type of building was so much quicker. I could get what I wanted to get done so much quicker and see the change so quickly. I thought, oh,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
It's very simple for me, really. Like that's just what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's a bit of that.
Is there a specific aha moment that you remember that like
Mm.
this is it? Maybe selecting your degree or
I remember when my dad always used to ask me, "Oh, what do you want to be? You know, what do you want to be?
Mhm.
You need to know what you want to be, and then you can kind of focus on getting there and breaking that goal down, and like figuring it out step by step."
Yeah.
And initially, I wanted to be an inventor. Same sort of reason, you know, building new things, building things. And then I can't remember. I think it might have been my uncle. Be like, oh, he asked me, "What are you going to invent?" And I was like, "Well, that's a great question. To be an inventor, you kind of have to know what you want to invent."
Mm.
And then I think from that point, I really thought of like, oh, so what can I invent? And I looked around like, well, everything's already been built, but like digital stuff, that's not all built yet. So I
Mm.
guess that's kind of what took me down this path. There's no one exact aha moment, but it's the series of small moments throughout my life that kind of drove me in this direction.
Yeah. That's really cool. And how did you make it? Like, what was that first job? How did you get that first job? What was that process
Yeah,
like?
yeah. I mean, the first job in my experience is the hardest one to get. Um, I I initially I tried to get into a program that helps you meet a lot of employers, and then it's called Summer of Tech here in New Zealand. And the whole idea is it's 1 3 hour event where you go and you meet a whole bunch of different employers looking to hire someone, and they interview you, and this goes on for a few more days, and then they'll offer you the position or not.
Mm.
So this was in my first year of uni. I signed up for this,
First year of uni.
and yeah, first year of uni, and then unfortunately I wasn't successful. I didn't get a position, and it's very common for that to happen. Well, I thought,
Okay.
well, what am I going to do now? You know, I've put my heart and soul into this. I wasn't able to achieve it. I was like, all right, great. So if no one's going to give me an internship, I'm going to make my own internship. So I met up with my parents at the time ran a factory, and I said, hey, you guys need a website or something? And they said, well, we don't know. Come have a look. So all right, cool. So I went and I had a look at how they were doing things, and one problem that stood out to me was invoicing. At the time, it was an Excel spreadsheet, and
Okay.
they were just manually typing things in there. And I thought, hey, we could make this into a whole system, like a whole website you can go to, and you can fill it in, and it'll automatically send the emails out and all this kind of stuff. So over the course of about 3 months, I built that. And that was a really cool experience, especially when the stakeholders were my parents. So I could ask them at any time of the day or night, hey, what do you think of this? Look at this. This is what I've done. Have a look. What do you think?
Yeah.
And they ended up using it and integrating it. And that was kind of how they did invoicing and customer management from that point forward. Anyway,
Oh,
the following year, I signed up for Summer of Tech again. And knowing now that I had this project under my belt, it gave me something to talk about. So I talked with a whole bunch of employers, and I went I went through the stages, and eventually I got a position at a company called Raygun. Um,
nice.
but I guess the core things really that I learned from that experience is people, when you're looking for a job, people are looking at you and they're asking the question of what can you do for me? You know, if I'm trying to employ someone, I'm trying to look for a person that can do this particular job, or at least learn to do this job.
Yeah.
So having projects that you've done, or apps that you've built, or groups that you've been a part of that shows, you took initiative, or maybe you can build something, maybe you led something, maybe you helped someone in some way, and those things helped me get the job. But I think all up in terms of applications, I probably would have applied to maybe 80 or 100 different positions before I ever got the internship.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
What's
It
it
was hard.
like
It was hard back
to
then.
deal with 78 rejections?
Um, After maybe the first 5 or 6, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's not that big a deal. But the first few definitely hurt. Because like, oh,
Mm.
put your heart and soul into this application. Oh, I really, really want this. And then it's just like, oh, hey, try again next year. Or, oh, we're looking for someone with some experience. You know, you get a little bit down, but eventually you get there. It's just a matter of when. You just got to
Yeah.
stay consistent with it.
That's really cool, Krishna. I really like the story about the initiative that you took as a first year, moving on to the second year college student, and saying, hey, what can I build? What's useful? And just starting at home and with your parents. I don't know if universities necessarily prepare you for that. I don't know if you had all the skills to do that, given what you had learned in your first year. So you were learning on your own. What was that like?
Yeah, definitely. I learned to code, I'd say fairly early on, around 12 or 13. So I'd already been coding a lot before I got to university.
Mm.
So a lot of what I knew up till that point was self-taught, like web development, databases, how to make an API, all these type of things. It was all self-learning, um, through just YouTube and googling stuff and trying to figure it out. Um, yeah, I think throughout university, I learned core principles that I didn't know beforehand.
Yeah,
Things like data structures, algorithms. That's the kind of stuff you learn in uni.
yeah,
But a lot of the stuff, even the things that I rely on now, the vast majority of it has been self-taught. Yeah.
yeah. Especially when you're in tech in the day of AI, you always have to
Absolutely.
upskill and keep learning, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Every day something new comes out. Well, there's a new innovation that comes out that can dramatically change we learn things, how we program things, how we architect different things, different services we can use. And all the time, learning those things is self-directed. You know,
Hmm.
you need to go out and search for these things and try and find, hey, what's the new thing I can learn? Where is the
Yeah,
industry going so I can get ahead of it?
very cool. I'm gonna come back to that question and ask how you stay up to date. But before that, I would still want to know that journey of we've got university, ray gun, and then Canva. How did that happen? And
Yeah,
what's that like? Like ray gun, Canva must be a very different setting.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Raygun, I spent quite a bit of time there, and I think at peak we had about 30 people roughly, and then I joined Canva, and Canva had a 1,500 person engineering team alone.
Mm.
So it's very, very different, completely different scale, different size of business, and different stage of business. So
Mm.
it's very interesting going from a smaller business to a much larger one.
Yeah.
And yeah,
What's the culture like? The workload, the environment, and
I
and
think
and now at NextWork, it's really different.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I guess throughout my career I've done every level of the size of company. You know, like very, very small company, which we are at now, right? To
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
sort of mid-sized company, and then a really, really large company.
yeah.
I think at every stage, different you learn different things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined Raygun, I learned I learned that you know, at that size of engineering team, you have maybe like 15 people. You get to learn, know everybody. You get to
Yeah.
understand everyone's strengths, their weaknesses, how they think, what they care about. Um, and but then you go to a larger company like Canva, and then you don't know everybody, and there's no way you're going to know everybody because, you know, every week or 2 weeks they hire another round of people,
Yeah.
and you know, you go from knowing a code base fairly well, you know, about the solid understanding, to going to a code base that is so large you'll never have a full understanding of every part of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Mm-hmm.
very that's very it's fairly daunting when you try and you join a new company and you pull the repo down and it takes like 10 minutes to pull down from GitHub, because then you're like, wow, this is a massive code base.
Mm.
um, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I felt the differences in terms of technical anyway.
Yeah, it's really helpful. It's really insightful. What about culture? I think you also mentioned like you get to know everyone, and then when you're in a big company, it's just your team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, culture, I think, is when you're smaller, culture is much easier to maintain and build. You know, when you're really large, culture becomes more siloed into the direct people that you interact with. So let's say you're
Mm-hmm.
in a team of five, your culture might be different to the next team. You know,
Yeah.
but when you're, for example, at the size of what we are, you know, the culture is the same and it's so tight knit. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think the challenge really becomes, like, how do you take a culture that we have now and how do you expand that out, you know, to 20, 30, and then, I mean, Canvas size, you know, 2,000, 3,000. I think that's really challenging. Um, in terms of like what the exact cultural differences were, I think it depends on every company, where every company is different.
Mm-hmm.
I think size definitely has a really big role to play
Mm-hmm.
in that. But every company was fun, um, but I really like the culture we have here. You know, it's
Yeah.
we work hard, but we have a lot of fun, a lot of
Me
laughs
too.
doing it. Like
Me too.
I wake every morning excited to go to work, and I know I'm gonna have many laughs throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. We are a pretty awesome team. I do have to say, it is wonderful working in this team, and I think even if there are other small companies and startups, I don't know if this kind of culture is easy to find.
Yeah, for sure, right? I feel like it's really unique, and that's what I love about it. It's unique.
Yeah. Um, Krishna, I was also wondering, with your experience of working at Raygun and Canva, how do you think that shaped the way you think about products and teams, and now, and how you bring that into NextWork?
Mm, that's a good question. I think I think it taught me that culture is really important, and it's something that you have to be very intentional about. Both whether that be engineering culture, the how we structure code, you know, from that technical level, or how services interact with each other, all the way up
Mm.
to, you know, how people interact with each other. I think hmm, yeah, I think I learned how a really strong engineering team functions. Like for example, at Raygun, we were quite a small engineering team, like 20 people or something like that. But we were very, very tight knit, and because of that, we each of us excelled in our given field, and we had each other's back, and we were able to interact with each other really well, and that's something I learned. Very important that we do really really well here as well. But yeah,
Cool. Really fascinating to hear about how those experiences stacked up and how that shaped you into, what you bring into NextWork. And I mean, I have to ask, with your experience and background skills, I mean, you're an absolute rock star at what you do. You could have joined any number of product companies, but here you are at NextWork. What drew you in?
yeah. I mean, when Amber first approached me about joining NextWork, it was very compelling. You know, the sales pitch was really easy. You know, she said, "Hey, we want to build a place that, that learning is right now is fundamentally broken, and we want to build a platform where anyone can come and learn anything." And I was like, oh, "Okay, that's interesting, very interesting, cool. I like that." And then, so that was the actual like the core mission side of it. I really liked that. I liked being able to that the vision was really big. You know, often a lot of companies will have a vision of, oh, we want to achieve this, but Amber came in with, no, we want to change the game. We want to change the world. This is how NextWork is going to be how people learn, you know? And I found that really, really cool. The second one was being able to build a product from the ground up. At the time, we didn't have a product as it is now, right? We didn't have a product. We had 0 users. So that as well, having built things in the past, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. Really cool. So those are the two main drivers as to why it was a really easy yes for me to
Yeah.
to leave Canva and come join NextWork and build the platform.
Krishna, man, like that sounds crazy. Like there's not a proper app, and you said, yes, I'm gonna come and join this team. Isn't that like crazy?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess on reflection, it does sound pretty wild. Yeah, when Amber showed me, she showed me designs she had written on paper, and she had a big design book, and she was showing me that, oh, this is what the UI is going to look like, and this is where like all the steps are going to go, and this is what we call the highway. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. Like it was really clear that she put a lot of thought into what the product was going to look like, and she knew exactly what it was going to be in her head. There was no question of what are we going to build. It was very clear. And with that type of clarity, especially from an engineer's perspective, right? Like when you're tasked to build something, or when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want this feature. I want to build this." The question you ask questions back to try and, oh, what about this? Have you thought about this? What happens if the user does this? What happens when something like this other thing happens? And every question I asked Amber, she had an answer for.
Yeah.
And that was really really good. So it was easy. I was like, okay, great. You know exactly what needs to be built. I can join, and I'm gonna build it.
That is so
And
cool.
I think it's worked pretty well.
And I gotta say, Krishna, like The work you do is just absolutely phenomenal. The way you operate, I like, yeah. Is there a favorite memory you have at NextWork?
Ooh, damn. I wouldn't say that there's one favorite memory.
Hmm.
I think there's been like a lot of favorite moments throughout my time. I think the one that comes to mind now is the photo of John holding the firework, like a couple months ago. I think that was really cool.
Yeah,
Just to the times that we've spent together as a team.
yeah.
I think those are the times that which car park sesh Nat says, I don't know, you'll have to ask Maximus that one. The times that we've spent together as a team, I think the parts that I remember most fondly. You know, like
Yeah,
going to the sauna or grabbing food or going for walks. You know,
yeah.
the retreat, like all these different things are things that I really like, and that's why I was kind of spoke about before. Like culture is
Mm,
so important. You know, because if
yeah,
you don't like coming to work every day, your work is going to reflect that.
right.
You know, so I think we've done a really good job of making sure everyone has a great time while we do work. And I think those are the things that I remember really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that the favorite memories that you have at NextWork are the ones with the team,
Yeah, 100%.
and that's really
100%.
special. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm
What?
very much a team, very much a team player. Very much a
Yeah,
team player. Yeah.
yeah. What about a favorite feature or a favorite moment, like when you're building something at NextWork? Sometimes it's like, finding a bug or resolving the code or um, like an aha moment that that made you feel like, this is why I'm at NextWork. This is we're just building great things.
Hmm. Yeah, I think when we first released the app, and
Mm-hmm.
it was basically just a blog, right? The app didn't really, it just had the projects there,
Yeah.
but to see, and all you could do was complete. You could mission complete. That was it, and that was a really memorable moment. A part that I was like, oh, this is awesome. Just to see the amount of people that came through, clicked the button, and said, wow, this project was awesome. Um, yeah, just to have the amount of people use what you built and then got value from that, I think that was awesome. That was awesome, and that's something that you constantly chase over and over and over again.
Yeah. And you've seen so much. You've seen like going from a blog to what it is now, from to the automated generated um, documentation, the PDF, and then from the PDF to the live documentation, and then
Yeah.
being able to edit. I mean, there's so many things that have been added on. What would you say is your favorite feature?
Ooh, that's a great question. I feel like every time I build a new feature, it becomes my favorite. I think hmm, there's been a lot of really cool ones. Like the notes feature was a good feature. Live docs, I think, is a really, really good feature. But my favorite feature right now that we've released right now is
Mhm.
the ask feature.
Yeah,
Definitely, I think ask is a feature that provides so much value, and even
yeah.
yeah, I mean even people in the chat are putting ask as well. Like it's an incredible feature. It took a little bit to build, but we got there, and just the amount of value that one feature alone provides is phenomenal. So I think that's probably my favorite feature.
Yeah, that's true. It's as someone who is leading community and seeing all the errors that come up, I really appreciate the ask feature too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. I remember when we didn't have the ask, and you
Yeah.
do a project and you get stuck and you're like, oh no. how do I figure this out? And you go on Google, you try to figure it out. But now, I mean, it's right there. You know, you can even highlight a section of the project, click the ask button, and then you can ask directly about it, which is awesome.
Yeah. Great conversations in the chat. Put your favorite feature. What's your favorite feature? There was a really good question from Sloth, I think, and she asked, "I want to know how you guys come up with new features."
That's a great question. That's a great question. How we come up with features sort of, I guess, comes from two places. Number one, what we hear from the community. You know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, hey, it would be awesome if we could do this." And then internally as a team, we see that and we go, "Oh, man, that's actually a really good idea. Let's build that." So that's one bucket. The other bucket is where, you know, Amber has a vision of where we want the product to be.
Yep.
And so like, you know, not just 1 year from now, but, you know, 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So we try and break that down. Like, okay, what does the product look like in 5 years? How can we build some of that now, and bring that value to the learners now? So really, it really is those two sort of buckets. I guess there's a third one as well, which is, we've seen some technology develop in a really cool new way. And how can we use that technology to help improve the learning experience? You know, so those are really the three sort of buckets that we generate these ideas from.
That's such a good answer. Very well thought out and very easy to visualize too. The three component answer. Makes sense. I hope that answers the question you had, Sloth. You mentioned that, you know, Amber has a vision of what NextWork would look like and what that, you know, how that feeds into the features that are released. How do you envision NextWork growing?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I see NextWork overtaking a lot of universities, a lot of other platforms, even YouTube, as being the place where anyone comes to learn any skill. You know, I mean, the way we're able to teach, the way we're able to capture people's attention right now, in a step by step guide sort of way, you know, and the videos we have, the content we produce, and the learning tools that we've developed, I think that right now that's world leading, and it's only a matter of time before we overtake other platforms. So that's where I see NextWork, you know, evolving in terms of volume.
That's so cool. It definitely is very exciting to see folks just loving NextWork, the projects, the content, and I mean, so many of the folks in the audience, they've already like expressed their love for NextWork. So sending love there. So we talked about the future of NextWork. What about future of engineering, Krishna?
Ooh. That's a big question. It's a big question. I think engineering right now is going through a fundamental shift. You know, when I started doing software engineering and coding, it was very much here's a problem. Let's break that down, let's write the code, and then let's release that. Right? So if you kind of imagine it like it was one thing, one pipeline. Then AI came along, and we thought, okay, how can we take that? What parts of this pipeline can we automate or give to the AI to speed up? You know, or maybe the AI can write this portion of the code, and then we can review that code. And then, you know, all these little parts, or even making videos. How can we use AI to make a video, and all this kind of things. So that was sort of level 2, you know, and that we hit that, you know, 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
Now we're at a stage where it's how many of these pipelines can we do at once? fully automated, you know? So before I used to work on one feature at a time. Then I started using AI to speed up the certain parts of my workflow. And now it's about how many different things can I work on at once? And what of those things can I fully offload to AI? And then all I have to do is review that and then merge that and release that out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's gone from, the engineering landscape has really gone from writing code yourself
Yeah.
to getting AI to write code for you. But, you know, a lot of people say, oh, software engineering's over. You know, the day of the coder is gone. Like AI is everything now. And to some extent, that's true, right? Like we
Yeah.
have a view internally where, you know, we don't want to be writing every line of code ourselves. You know, why
True.
would we write it when we can have an AI write it for us?
Right.
But as someone said in the chat, you still have to know what it's doing. And this is the core part. It's up to the engineer to understand the architecture, the patterns, how you in your mind would build the feature yourself, and then get the AI to adhere to that, right? So that it frees you up as an engineer to go from, oh, how do I build this one thing, to, oh, let's make sure that these 5 different things are being built in the right way at the same time by these AIs. So you go from a 1-to-1, like one engineer to one problem, to 1-to-5. You know, 5 problems at once. How can we do that in an efficient way while keeping code quality really, really high, while making sure our downtime isn't affected at all? So we have constant, like really, really high uptimes.
Yeah.
And also that the code base is evolving in a manageable and maintainable way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the short of that is it's changing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, you touch on so many interesting points, and it's such a like meaty answer that you gave. The future of engineering and the role of AI, what are jobs going to look like? I think someone in the chat mentioned it's engineering is going to look like managing AI more than coding itself. But then you do talk about the need to understand and have that technical foundation, being able to understand architecturally, like what makes sense, how do you want to organize your structures, your files, how you want to set things up, set up your environment, and how you can build on it. And in today's day, I think it was Sloth who asked, what do you look for in a developer? What do you look for when you're hiring? How do you, what do you look for? Let's start there.
I think what we look for in a really strong engineer is the ability to one, like have a strong understanding of architectural patterns and scaling. That's one. 2, to be able to write code. I think even in the world of AI, a really strong engineer still knows how to write code. They need to be able to understand what the AI is building and outputting. I like to think that if you can give an engineer a problem and they can solve it in their mind, and they already know what the code is going to look like, so all they need to do is get the AI to execute on that. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. But I think a really good engineer is more than just tech, more than just the technical aspects. I think a really good engineer is someone who's able to talk to people, right? Like in my position anyway, right? I talk to marketing. I'm across design, product, and all of these, even community to some aspect, content, right? There's all these different parts of the business, you need to
Mhm.
be able to interact with every single one of them and explain concepts in a non-technical way. You know, I think that's
Mhm.
super important, and being able to manage expectations between all the different stakeholders. Like we could use ask as a great example of that. You know, there's product stakeholders there, there's design. Like we need to make sure that one, the ask feature solved a problem. We need to make sure that it's designed in a way that's easy to use and understand, right? And then we also need to be able to ask yourself, oh, what are some improvements here that we could make to improve the experience for the learner? What are people saying that they want?
Yeah.
And to be able to think about all these things and communicate with every business unit,
Mhm.
and then take all that information and then create the feature, I think that is what makes a really strong engineer, a product engineer. Um, so that's really what we look for.
Mm. That is so on point, Krishna. Like, it's such an underrated skill to be able to communicate. And it's part of like showcasing your skills too. You build all
Absolutely,
these
yeah.
things. You're technically very proficient, but you need to be able to communicate, whether it's in your portfolio, whether it's in written format, whether it's in verbal. How do you build that skill?
It's a good question. I think by on one hand you have learning the skill, and then you have executing the skill, but then you also have showcasing the skill. You know, and to get good at talking about your project or feeling confident enough to show it to other people,
Hmm.
you have to take that first step. You know, oh,
Hmm.
hey, let's share this what I built to Facebook, as an example. You know, and then you can be like, okay, great. Now I've shared it there. Now I can talk about it. It's always like the what's that term? It's like the the journey of a million miles begins with a single step, something like that. You know, you have to figure out what the first step is, and then
Yeah,
just take that, and then do the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
yeah. So you got to start somewhere, and then with time and
Yeah,
experience, it's a muscle that you just learn to exercise and build.
yeah, for sure, definitely, definitely, yeah. It's definitely a skill that you can learn. You know, I don't think it's a skill that you're born with. I think everyone can teach themselves, you know, how to communicate, how to present themselves in a certain way, how to be able to
Mm.
talk to people in a certain way, how to take feedback even. You know, a lot of my job is, you know, you build something and then, hey, this part sucks. We need to shift focus, you know, or maybe this didn't solve the initial problem that we had. You know, now we have to shift again. You know, taking that kind of feedback initially is really hard.
Yeah.
But over time, you know, over time you get better at handling that feedback and how to give that
True.
feedback to other people and all this kind of thing. So it's definitely a skill you can learn over time.
Yeah, for sure. I think for product engineers, you hear feedback on your designs, like the front end, like whether it's working or not, and then there are bugs or errors that come up, and I don't know. Do you take it personally? How do you make sure that you stay separate? Like that's my work,
Mm.
and I'm here to make it better.
Yeah, I think that's the key to it. You know, that's the hard part. I think when I first joined the industry, I remember my first PR that I worked on, and it took me like a whole day. I made the PR, and it was for a simple bug fix for some date time bug that we had. And I was so happy. I was like, yeah, this is great. This is going in. I thought I knew exactly what I was doing. And then that PR got ripped to shreds. You know, the reviewer was like, oh, this is wrong. This is not good. Do it this way. It was very matter of fact, like, oh, this is wrong, don't do it like this, do it like this. You know? There was many comments on that first PR. And I took it personally. I was like, oh man, I thought this was great, but apparently not. But it was a very humbling experience. But at the same time, it's through that experience that I learned so much in such a short amount of time. Just being in an environment like that forces you to detach yourself from your work, because you are more than your work. When something goes wrong in a feature, that doesn't mean that, I'm I'm the problem. You know, you can't account for everything. Some things just happen. Like, how was I supposed to know that this one function in one particular browser version didn't work on this one device? You know, you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that. But you just make these mistakes and then you learn to detach from that. Like, oh, okay, I made the mistake. Yeah, I didn't know. No one would have known that. How would you know this? But it's the willingness to go, oh, okay, this was because of the problem I introduced. I need to fix it. So then you just go in and you fix it, and you move on, and everyone moves on.
Such a great answer, Krishna. And I really appreciate you bringing up your first PR experience. And the reason I also, really appreciate that is because right before this session, Sloth in our audience had mentioned that she had her first PR and she's going to get it reviewed. And she was so nervous. I don't know how it went today, but I think it's so apt and so timely that she's going to come out of that meeting and she's going to hear you saying, don't take it personally, whatever it is. I think that's really awesome. Oh, she says she did really, really good engineering.
Nice,
Nice
nice,
work,
awesome, well
Sloth.
done. First PR, good engineering. Nice. That was better than mine. Mine.
Krishna, there's another question in the chat,
Yeah.
and this is more on the AI and engineering. Sean asks, with your vast experience in working with different sized development groups, what do you think, or how do you think AI is going to change the work environment from your perspective? From your view, how would one best prepare for that change? And what things would you concentrate on that would have the most bang for the buck? Great question, Sean.
Ooh, that's a really good question. There's a lot of parts to unpack in there.
Yeah.
What I will say is the best way to prepare for the innovations in AI is to be as adaptive as possible, to be flexible. When things change at such a fast rate, you need to be able to adapt to those changes. Especially with AI, one day a new tool could come out and it could fundamentally change how we write code, right? I mean, we've seen that already with Claude Code and, Cursor and other tools. And what really worked well for us was we saw Claude Code coming and we're like, oh, okay, let's jump on that now. It wasn't oh, we can't, no, we don't know what's going to happen there. Let's wait and see. No, we had the hunch that this is the future and this is how code is going to be fundamentally written. And then we jumped on that. And I think that having that ability to adapt and think for yourself, like, oh, is this going to be that next step up? And then make that shift. I think that is what will set you up for success.
Nice. Great answer. The adaptability.
Yeah.
Learn to learn.
Yeah, learn to learn and learn to love learning. Because
Learn to love learning.
learn to love learning because you're going to be doing it the rest of your life. I learn new things every single day, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Amazing. When you're hiring or mentoring engineers, is there any one thing that makes someone stand out to you?
Yeah, I think having having built things in the past is something that really stands out to me because it shows, even if it's something you built in your spare time, is a
Mhm.
massive plus in my opinion because
Mm,
it shows initiative. It
mm,
shows you're able to build something out of your own idea that you thought about yourself to solve some problem that you had or a problem that you'd identified and for someone else.
mhm,
I think that's super important. What I said before around explaining technical concepts to non-technical people and just being
mhm,
able to communicate generally across the business. I
mhm,
think another trait that I really look at. And another one is understanding product. A lot of
mm,
engineers think that being a really good engineer technically makes you a really, really good product engineer. But in my experience, those two things aren't exactly one for one.
mm,
What makes a good product engineer is thinking about things from the user's perspective. How is how is the user going to interact with this? What problem are we solving for them?
yeah.
Uh, a common thing something that I've heard before that I really like is don't make, as an engineer, don't make our problem the user's problem, right? Just because
Mm,
something's easier for us to implement as an engineer in a certain way doesn't mean that that's the right thing for the user. Maybe it's a worse experience for them. Maybe it doesn't solve a problem that they had. So you always have to think back from the user's perspective.
yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, like at the end of the day, the user is everything. You know, the learner is everything for us. And if we can't solve the learner's problems or build things that the learner finds valuable, we're not on the right track,
Yeah.
basically. You know, so the fact that, and I mean, we are on the right track because we can see, there's a lot of people here, there's a lot of people in the community, a lot of people find a lot of value from the stuff that we build. So yeah, it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but I guess that's what, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was quite a lot of in there, but all very useful to know if someone is looking to get into a engineering role. Um, there was also a question from Roy, and I think it's a perfect question as I transition into the rapid round
Cool.
because I'm mindful of time too. Great questions and great conversations happening in the chat. Love it. Roy asks, okay, so and that'll be my first of like many questions.
Cool.
Roy asks, if AI was turned off tomorrow, how would you adjust as an engineer?
I just saw what Pano replied to that one with. That's funny. Um, if AI was turned off tomorrow, how would I adjust? I'd just go back to doing engineering how we used to do engineering. You know,
Yeah.
AI is such a productivity booster for us,
Mm,
but it doesn't replace engineering.
yep.
The core way we build product and the core way we build features has not changed and will not change.
Yep.
It's just the way at which that happens. If AI was turned off tomorrow, that's fine, no problem. We'd still be building features that would solve value for our users um, in the best ways possible.
Yeah. All right. Quick answers. First thing that comes
Okay.
to your mind. Favorite programming language?
Ooh, TypeScript. It's not really language, but
TypeScript.
it counts. TypeScript.
Okay. Okay. First thing you do when you open your laptop?
Kahu, what are you talking about? Stop. What? Sorry, what was your question?
First thing you
I got
do when you
sidetracked.
open your laptop?
First thing I do when I open my laptop is I I check my calendar.
Huh. You plan for your day.
Yep. Every morning, plan for my day. Takes like 10, 15 minutes, but sets me up right for the rest of the day.
Nice. Coffee or tea while coding?
Ooh, I don't drink coffee, but I have like masala tea every morning, so masala tea.
And I also found out today, sometimes even
Yeah, I do like both.
night owl or early bird?
Early bird, early bird. My my bedtime is my bedtime. I think I'm in bed by like 9:30. 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm in bed. You know, like I need my sleep.
Okay. A tech tool you cannot live without.
Ooh, a tech tool I cannot live without. Claude Code, it's the easiest one.
A non-tech activity that makes you better at what you do.
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I'd say going to the gym. I think have going to the gym like physical increasing my physical stamina has increased like my mental stamina. I think those two things are fairly linked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. The most fun bug you've ever debugged.
Fun bug. I don't think those exist. Um, I I back at Raygun, I took down. We had an SDK, and that took down like 100,000 apps when I made a release, and that was really bad. So fixing that was probably really good. So that's my yeah. Pano was there, can confirm. Yeah, that's probably the funnest bug that I fixed.
All right. If you weren't an engineer, what would you be doing?
Ooh, that's a great question. If I wasn't an engineer, what would I be doing? I'd probably start like a toasted sandwich shop with like a milkshake business on the side. I've always wanted to do that. I feel like one day when I retire, when I'm like 60 or 70 years old, that's what I'll do.
Where's the chai, Krishna?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, of course. That'll be
Toasted
there too.
cheese sandwiches, smoothies,
Yep,
and chai.
that's the one.
This is a question I cannot tell you who asked this question. What do you have to say
Okay.
about the award you won last year? What was the award you won? And can you speak on it?
Oh, my, what was it? My memory. Oh, my memory's so bad. My memory's so bad. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was. But I remember it was. Oh, I remember. Yeah, like it was meant to go to someone else, but I just had to. I had to. It was given to me, but I can't exactly remember what that award was.
Something about HR violations?
Nah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. That's got to be AI. That's got to be AI generated. Yeah, most improved, most improved. I'll take that. I'll take that, Pano.
No.
That's definitely AI. That's definitely AI. Most AI
Alright.
violations.
Most AI violations.
Oh, that's crazy.
What's one word that sums up NextWork for you?
Ooh. Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. What a great word. I love
Yeah,
it.
I think it's groundbreaking, definitely.
Great word choice. All right. There's a lot of questions coming up, but I know we're at time. Really enjoyed this session with you, Krishna. I just want to ask one last question before we wrap things up. What's one lesson or principle that's carried you through your career so far?
It's a good question. I think, yeah, I think it's what I said before. Like, don't make our problem, don't make your problem, like your problem as an engineer, the user's problem. I think that has popped up again and again throughout my career, and I think it's something that really sets you apart. You know, being willing and able to go the extra mile for the customer or the user is will set you apart 100%.
That's amazing. Great answer. Thanks, Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights with the community. I think it's so wonderful to hear about your journey into engineering and the lessons you've learned as you've made it to NextWork and just crushing it here. Loving all the comments and feedback. I think you should go through it. You've got a lot of love coming up.
Oh, thanks everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah. To everyone who's joined, thank you so much for joining this episode of Humans of NextWork with Krishna. Stay curious, keep creating, and we'll see you soon.
Nice.
See you all.
See everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Smash that like button. And yeah, thank you. Peace.